Hello and welcome back to the Atlas Solutions podcast. My name's Brian. He's Chad, and today we have a security topic for you guys. Hey, Chad, how's it going?
Hey, Brian. Brian, you're a security guy, and I have just been getting inundated by customers with these problems left and right in emails and calls and fake text messages and all that. So I wanted to pick one, and actually next week we're going to talk about another one in the cybersecurity realm, and this one is phishing. So we were just saying earlier, phishing's great, right? We want to go on a fishing trip. But
I love fishing.
It is not great. So this is phishing with a P. So Brian, why don't you explain a little bit for somebody who's never heard of phishing, maybe they've even been hit by it and didn't know, what is a phishing scam?
Yeah, so phishing's actually kind of a broad topic because there's so many different versions of it now. It used to be, phishing was when, back probably 10, 15 years ago, you'd see like this Facebook link or something, and it looks just like the Facebook logo, and it's asking you to log into something. You click on it, everything looks the same, but when you type in your username and password, nothing happens, right? Well, that's because that wasn't Facebook and you just gave your credentials to a bad guy, essentially. So what happens with phishing is they're trying to convince you to click or take the bait and enter some sort of credential, whether it be a password or a credit card number or some kind of financial information, so they can capture that. And usually, they've gotten way more sophisticated now, which I'm sure we'll get into in a second, but that's kind of the broad scope. If someone's trying to bait you into giving them information with a very convincing lure, you might say.
Absolutely. Well, and to roll back time a little bit, I'm sure a lot of people out there have seen those scams where it's like this Peruvian prince is trying to make it to the U.S. and needs to transfer money, and there were misspellings and there was bad grammar and commas and, misplaced and whatnot. Well, those were, unbeknownst to a lot of people, designed for people who are, I hate to say it, but not intelligent enough to notice those sort of things like bad spelling. They did it on purpose. They were looking for you to panic and, oh my gosh, I could make a lot of money. Let me click on this really fast. You're skimming the email. You're not actually paying attention to the detail.
Yeah.
Well, the more modern phishing schemes that we've seen in the past few weeks and months, we've definitely at Atlas, we've seen an increase. They've been very good. They look good. They are targeting a different audience. They're targeting intelligent people. Some of the people that we know that have gotten hit are very smart people, business owners, high-level thinkers, and they took the bait, or at least got close to taking the bait, thinking, man, this looks very, very real, and they were smart enough to pick out that, wait a second, that's not the last four digits of my credit card number, something like that. So we wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, not only because it's a hot topic, but I think we're just in the beginning of these schemes. These hackers are smart people, and they will evolve and adapt to get their money. So right now we're seeing a lot of targets in small to medium businesses. The big companies out there, the Fortune 500s, the big banks, they have phishing detection software that will try to hook you on purpose. So a friend of mine, they use, I think it's called Fishhook, and on their Outlook client, it's got a little hook. And if you see something that you think is phishing, you can click the fishhook. And so an example might be, the CEO of Bank of America is like, hey, Chad, I really need to talk to you. This is very important. Just send me a text message and we'll meet up and we'll talk. Something that's so outlandish. You're like, the CEO is emailing me all of a sudden. That would be kind of your classic phishing scam. Behind the scenes of phishing as well, what we're seeing kind of on the front lines is a little bit of social engineering. So if you're a hacker, you just kind of log on to this person's domain and website and you take a look at, well, what do they do and who do they interact with and what do they sell? And would it be likely that if you're a baker, that you may buy flour in bulk. So maybe they'll try to pretend to be your flour provider and email you, hey, you didn't pay your invoice, something like that. So this is not just totally random. These people study, they figure out who you are, especially if you're a business owner. You're usually on the website, your name and email address is easily guessed or figured out. So some of those things is kind of what's behind the phishing scheme. Another classic one, which is hard to catch, is when somebody finds out that, okay, Chad Keith, well, he's the owner of Atlas. I wonder if I just made an email address, the random Yahoo account or Gmail, and I sent an email but changed the name of my account to Chad Keith, maybe somebody will click on it. Well, most email clients just show the name Chad Keith. You would have to open it and see, wait, I'm getting an email address from a random, Roadrunner account that has just a bunch of random numbers, but it's called Chad Keith. So just keep an eye out for some of those things. Brian, in your opinion, what's some other ways that we can kind of defend against phishing?
Well, I think some of the most successful phishing attacks create a sense of urgency. So you'll see like a dollar amount. Like I saw one this morning in my personal inbox. It was an email from the Geek Squad, which is Best Buy's tech support wing, right? And it was some renewal for some thing I didn't buy, of course, but it was something that reasonable to believe that anyone may have this subscription, right? So I get this email saying, thank you for your $300 renewal, blah, 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 right? Well, I sat back and looked at it and went, okay, I don't use this. It has nothing to do with me. And I look at the email address, and there's Best Buy is nowhere in the email address, right? But there's a link to confirm or a phone number. A lot of hackers are getting more confident, and they'll have a phone number, and you can actually call, and they will try to talk you out of your money without using the computer. I've had folks, like one of the more recent ones I've seen also is a McAfee resubscription, because how many businesses or individuals use that for antivirus? So you say, oh, thanks for renewing your 2-year contract to McAfee, and it's $600. It's not, from a big business standpoint, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough to get your attention, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I've had folks actually be on the phone and realize, oh, this isn't right, and they hang up. So I'd say the first thing to combat this is to take a step back. So it's real easy, especially if you're a business owner. Maybe you've been out of town or something. You come in and you get this email that says, hey, why haven't you paid this? Or this money got spent. Well, go through your process. Who was responsible for that? Don't just click the button and take care of it. Sit back. What happened here? Why did this actually happen? Is this a real thing? So I think the best thing we can all do is just slow down and make sure anything comes in email, especially if you're not expecting it.
For sure. Well, and to add to that, where we at Atlas can kind of help you as a business owner is we can help develop that plan. So if it's, we don't want to hinder your efficiency as a business, but if somebody's asking for something over a particular dollar amount, it's good to have in writing a process and procedure. So if somebody new comes on, you can explain them. If somebody asks for something over $500, you need to ask this person and ask this person. Listen to their voice, try to correspond if it's over a certain dollar amount, and pick up the phone and talk to them, make sure it's actually them. Text and stuff can, of course, get real tricky real fast. So urgency. And then again, from a technical perspective, we can help you design that plan, but also on the back end of your email, you should have SPF records, DKIM records, and some of those technical things set up to try to prevent some of that spoofing in the first place. That's just authorizing trusted domains, because if you have a good email provider, it's going to kind of lock some of that stuff out. And, just to take Google, for example, and Microsoft does some of the same, Google can identify similar looking valid domains. So to use the example of the baker with the flour, it might be ncflourcompany.com. And they may take the word flower and change the L to an I and buy that domain so it looks almost identical to the I, but it's not the same. So when you're rushing, even if you're being good and checking, they might slip that in because you didn't see the number 1 in the text there. So Google has some features in there to check for similar domains that are not the same. Because remember, these people, they can buy the domain and get you for whatever money, usually a bigger amount when they do that sort of a attack. And then they just dump the domain. So they lost $10 and they got thousands from your company. So those are valid domains. They're real. Just like when somebody sends you an email address from a Google account, it's a real account. So until it has been kind of made public that it's a scam, they can get through. If they get flagged several times, it will get taken down. And to talk about how to flag stuff, if you're in your Google client and you in the web browser, if you see an email up next to the respond to, there's a little 3 dots button, at least right now in the interface, and you can click that 3 dots. And there's a button there that says mark as spam or mark as phishing. And that would alert us at Atlas that you found something that you think's phishing, and that would immediately create a task for us to go and look into who is this. We can report it to the authorities, get with the FBI or whatever, and let them know before they get other people or anybody else in your organization. So keep an eye out. If you need help with any of that stuff, reach out to us at atlascarolina.com or on all of our social media accounts. Remember that we're giving away an AirTag this month as well. Go to our Instagram or our Facebook or LinkedIn, any of our social media accounts. Follow and then tag 2 friends in that giveaway post, and we're going to give away that AirTag at the end of the month. If you're a customer already, we would also like to be able to let you enter in by going to the Apple Consultants page and leaving us an awesome review. We are so close to becoming the number 1 rated Apple consultant in North Carolina. So we're excited about that and very thankful for you guys for helping us get there. So remember to enter to win that. We'll be giving that AirTag away at the end of the month. And we will talk to you next week on the podcast.